It's First Aid with Kelly Kincaid on Sway in the Morning.
That's right. First Aid with Kelly Kincaid. Now, she's not claiming to be a doctor, but she does care about the people that are within the sound of her voice. And that is you, the citizens of Sway in the Morning, worldwide, nationwide. And Kelly Kincaid, welcome back to the show.
Good morning, Sway. Good morning, citizens. How are you today, Sway?
I can't complain, Kelly Kincaid. I woke up breathing. The rest is a blessing.
Amen.
And a bonus.
Yeah, I heard you talking about Bun B and Queenie. You know, life is precious.
Yes, indeed.
And, you know, we got to stop all these people doing dumb shit out here.
Okay.
Breaking in.
Very eloquent there, Kelly Kincaid.
Hey, it was on my heart. It was on my heart.
So, also, we were talking about this measles outbreak that's been taking place.
Yeah, this is a conversation that I always have a conversation with a lot of people. CNN really wrote a long article about this measles outbreak. You know, it's affected New York as well and some other states. And I wanted to bring in a special guest today who is really out there advocating for a lot of things. And I wanted to talk about something that happened in California yesterday with the SB 276.
Correct.
And so I wanted to welcome our brother Rizza Islam.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
To the show.
I am honored to be on Sway. This is amazing, brother. Love the work you're doing. And so the measles outbreak, number one, people have to understand that when it comes to the measles, between 2004 and 2014, there were no measles deaths from the actual disease, but there were 108 deaths from the measles vaccine.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, SB 276 pertains to the relationship between the patient and the doctor. So what they're trying to do is remove the patient from being handled by their doctor, and they're trying to give that authority to a health officer, person who's never met you, never met your child, pretty much doesn't know anything about you, but they're going to be able to decide what to do as it pertains to vaccinating or inoculating your child, which is 100% against medical practices. It's against the Hippocratic Oath. It's not how the Constitution works.
So, and today we're talking about vaccinations.
Yes.
And what spurred this on is this whole measles outbreak.
Yes.
You know, there's three states right now, California, Mississippi, and West Virginia,
Correct.
who really are kind of monitoring what parents can do with their child.
Yes.
And I know like celebrities like Erykah Badu, she's been a big advocate about not vaccinating her
Absolutely
kids.
not.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is you have some kids who are most kids are vaccinated, then some aren't. And then you get this outbreak because measles was eliminated in 2000. So the question for me, and you were on the steps of City Hall in Sacramento yesterday, and what was the verdict of that bill, the SB 276?
It passed through the health committee. Which means it has to go through another step in order for it to become law. So once that happened, which, by the way, most people have to understand, when you're talking about an outbreak, the CDC has specific guidelines as to what they determine to be an outbreak. Okay, there has to be a certain number of people within a certain proximity or within a certain square mileage. They have not reached that number of people. Okay, so what they're saying is they are exaggerating to try to scare legislators into pushing laws or pushing bills through to become law. Okay, and as a matter of fact, right now they're saying there's an outbreak in LA because one student caught the measles at UCLA Medical Center. How is that an outbreak?
Yeah.
So they're trying to push that to, as I said, scare legislators into pushing this law, which is once again violating the U.S. Constitution.
Let me ask you this. I got vaccinated. You got vaccinated. So did you. Why is this so important to you right now?
Oh, I didn't get vaccinated.
You didn't?
Not at all. Oh,
Okay.
no. I'm all the way straight from the bone.
And that was a decision of your parents?
Oh, yes. My mother never vaccinated me. She was a naturopathic doctor who was formerly a medical nurse. And she left the medical field because she saw how much hypocrisy was in it, and because she also saw how they were strategically using medication and pushing pills when they used to push more naturopathic remedies, etc. So she switched over into naturopathy. So the vaccination situation that people really have to look at is the MMR vaccine, measles, mumps, rubella, which is known as a trivalent, multivalent, or 3 viruses in one needle, is the exact vaccine or vaccination that Dr. William Thompson, who was the senior lead scientist over the Center for Disease Control's Vaccine Division, has stated himself, quote, "This vaccine gives black boys autism at the rate of 236% more than Caucasian boys. Now, this is not something that came from Brother Reason. It's not something that just I made up. This came from this scientist in the CDC who currently still works there. He also stated that if we would have revealed this information at least 10 years earlier, we could have prevented at least 100,000 black boys from having autism.
Do you feel like the vaccine has some diabolical root to it in terms of how it's being circulated?
I'm a black man in America, brother.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna say I'll say hell yes to that.
Okay.
But at the same time, I look at the science to see exactly how can I prove that, to see more so if is it opinion or is it based on actual fact. And according to this same scientist who had an over 3-hour conversation with Dr. Brian Hooker, he revealed that yes, it was intentional and we hid the data. Literally, they hid it. As a matter of fact, 10 years of the data, they completely removed it, and he admitted it later and said, I want to confess and I want to be subpoenaed before Congress to confess everything about what has occurred with this vaccine.
Okay, Rizza Islam is here. You said something really interesting because my partner, who I came up in the game with, didn't vaccinate his kids for similar reasons. And you said between the years of 2004 and 2014, there were 108 deaths caused by the measles vaccine.
Correct.
What is in the vaccine? Do you know?
Yes, absolutely. There are multiple things. Formaldehyde is one. Aluminum is another. There's something called thimerosal, which is a mercury derivative of the mercury preservative. This is, now people try to say, well, no, you get mercury from fish. That is methyl mercury. We're dealing with ethyl mercury. This is an inorganic form of mercury that does not wash out of the brain. This is a heavy metal that is not something that you can have in your body whatsoever in any type of dose that is safe. As a matter of fact, if you drop this needle on the ground in a school, they will shut down the school, bring in people with hazardous material suits on, evacuate it until they have to clean up that vial. But you get to inject my child with that.
Yeah.
See, they've already determined all the science behind this. As a matter of fact, another thing on the actual insert or the ingredient list for this vaccination, the MMR vaccine, according to Merck, who has produced this vaccine, states that one of these side effects is death. Whoa. Oh, this is very basic information. Now, most of us don't know.
Yeah. And this isn't you. This is information.
This is from them.
From them.
This is from them. It's just that we don't know. And by the way, we are the number one group of people who are affected by this, but we are the exact number one group who knew nothing about it.
And why is that? Because you talk about this in your documentary, The Unprescribed Truth.
Correct.
And you really lay out a lot going back to Robert Kennedy Jr., who is really talking about this is happening. But is it that we are ignorant and we just do what the doctor says?
Oh, 100%. Black folks trust doctors and white coats. We trust them. I mean, that's how we were taught. You know, our grandmothers, go ahead and trust your doctor for the majority. But, oh, yes, go ahead.
No, and I was going to say, we're talking about black folks, but this is affecting just children.
All yes.
Children have to get vaccinations.
Oh, yes, they all do. And the only reason why I specify black children is because that's what the scientists specified, who it affects more than anybody else. Right. So it affects everybody indirectly, but it affects black children directly, according to the scientist himself. This is a Caucasian scientist, and he said, I regret this, what I did. And he said, every time, he said, I have great shame now whenever I see a child with autism because I know I have been part of the problem. And he admitted all this, so this is what is going on now. He's under whistleblower status, so he can only communicate through his attorney. But this is a very real thing.
What is his name?
Dr. William Thompson.
Dr. William Thompson. So I want to get the citizens to Google it yourself. Look it up yourself.
Absolutely.
Find the information yourself. Rizza Islam is here. I want to open up the phone lines for some questions, and we'll come back. 888-742-3345.
Ladies and gentlemen. I am totally in favor of vaccines, but I want smaller doses over a longer period of time. And I had my children taken care of over a long period of time, over a 2 or 3 year period of time. Same exact amount, but you take this little beautiful baby and you pump. I mean, it looks just like it's meant for a horse, not for a child. Just the other day, beautiful child went to have the vaccine. A week later, got a tremendous fever, got very, very sick, now is autistic.
That was from your documentary, Rizza Islam's The Unprescribed Truth.
Yes,
and,
ma'am.
Our President Trump is for vaccination, but spreading it out. Why don't doctors spread it out? Because a lot of, I don't have an infant, but they do like at one. It's like 2 shots or something. Why isn't it spread out?
Well, one, because this comes from the CDC guidelines itself. Now, this is where people have to look at exactly how political this really is. Okay, the CDC comes out with the actual schedule, and they say this is what doctors are supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to inject the children, et cetera, and they send that throughout the country. Now, according to the CDC, before the age of 18 months, you have to inject a certain number of vaccinations, and that includes MMR, Hep B, et cetera, all these different vaccinations, including vitamin K, which is not an actual vitamin coming from that needle. It actually has 0.9 micrograms of benzoyl alcohol, hence why the baby gets jaundice, because it attacks the liver directly. That's just another side point for the pregnant mothers. Another thing is that they don't spread them out because, once again, the CDC is a bully. Okay, they send it out and the doctors just bow down to whatever they say. So doctors independently will spread them out because they know better. And as a matter of fact, depending on what zip code you live in, most of those doctors do spread it out. In the Jewish communities, they spread it out. In certain other communities, they spread it out because they know the effects. Donald Trump himself, he eloquently described, he said, I want to spread them out. I'm for vaccinations, but spread them out over a longer period of time. Why? Because the amount of mercury that is combined within all those vaccinations is not at all safe for a child. And the likelihood of them coming out with autism, Asperger's, tics, any one of these neurological disorders is very, very, very high. So if you spread them out, it will be safer, but still, of course, I don't encourage vaccination at all. But if you do, yes, spread them out so that you can have a less likely chance of your child having a debilitating disease.
Rizza Islam is here, where you hearing this information, and all this information, it's not opinion.
No,
it's
No,
you can look it up yourself. What is your background?
Background, Compton, California, youngest of 10 children, Bloods and Crip gangbanging, very young, all of that. And, of course, Nation of Islam born. But as I said, once my stepfather was locked in prison, of course, family collapsing, like I said, gang violence, et cetera, ensued. But then I found my way back and started doing a lot of activism, community work, humanitarian work, and been in my community, man, doing my best for a very, very long time since I was about 12 years old.
Is this why you wear the red and the blue bow tie?
Oh, of course, but you know what it is.
Yeah.
This is long before. This has been for years. Bloods and Crips together, because that's how it was in the beginning. Crips stands for Community Resistance in Progress. It's what we did to come together as a community to fight against racist police officers. So it's something to uplift the community. Same thing with the Bloods as well. So, I rock this everywhere.
What do you think the community can do to really bring more of this information to the surface so people actually understand what they're agreeing or not agreeing to do?
We have to hold the artists accountable to start doing more investigation into things that are not just entertainment. Start looking at things that are more educational. Certain parents who are artists, ask them to promote what is it that you did, because most of the artists don't vaccinate. Most of them have doulas or midwives. Most of them, have a holistic way of practicing. So they should express that a little more to the people, because the people are looking to them for answers and solutions and ways of living. So they should start to express, well, this is why I chose not to vaccinate, or this is why I chose not to use formula and I chose to breastfeed, etc. So the artists really have to come out and start to push more of that, and the people will be, they'll behave and actually appreciate that more.
Is there an alternative that you know of, a healthier alternative to try to prevent measles if you're not taking vaccinations?
Oh, yeah. Number one, the first thing is a healthy immune system destroys everything, all diseases, etc. But if you want your child to be the healthiest as it pertains to measles, you want to breastfeed them, one. You want to make sure that the environment that they're physically in is as clean as possible, air filters, alkaline water, or at least spring water. You want to make sure that they're bathing properly. All these basic things. Measles is not some major disease. It's really not. And it's not supposed to be deadly. It's actually rarely, if ever, deadly. So these are basic things that we should do, is make sure the environment is clean, our bodies are clean, and we're as natural as possible, the way our ancestors were long before vaccinations even came into the equation.
I'd never heard that statistic that between the years of 2004 and 2014, 108 deaths were caused by vaccinations.
Oh, yeah.
And this is some more information that the public isn't aware of.
Oh, brother, man, listen, when I say there's a list, put it this way. There was something called the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act in 1986. Okay, this is where vaccine manufacturers pretty much now were held with no liability. They were free to put whatever they want in vaccinations because Congress told them, okay, we know you guys are getting lots of lawsuits. And so they threatened Congress and said, listen, if you don't prevent us from being sued, we're going to shut it all down. We're not making no more vaccinations. So that basically is threatening national security, because what if an outbreak pops up? We have no vaccine. So they threatened them to, just shut down. So Congress said, okay, fine. We'll pass this law to where you can't be sued. Since 1986, autism was in 1 in 15,000. After the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act of 1986, autism went from 1 in 15,000 to 1 in 10,000. By the time Obama got into office in 2014, I believe at the end of his second term, it was 1 in 68. That's
1 in 68
1 in
kids
68
who are
kids
vaccinated
have autism.
that have 1 in 68.
1 in 68 have autism.
Wow.
Now it's even more than that. It's actually, I believe it's either 1 in 50 or 1 in 45. And this is on the CDC's website. There's another website, according to the Health and Human Services section of the United States government, is called the Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System. That's the website you can go to see everything that has happened negatively as a result of vaccines. It's a part of the U.S. government. Most people don't know about it, but that's where you can find all of that. And they also have something called the Vaccine Court, where parents go to prove that their child was injured by vaccines. And the vaccine court has paid out over $4 billion, proving that, yes, your vaccine injured my child, caused autism, my child is dead because of it, etc. And the government has admitted it, proved it, and paid these parents.
They paid the parents.
Yes,
Rizza Islam is here. We're in the middle of First Day with Kelly Kincaid. Got a lot of callers. Quick questions. Todd from Cali. What's up, Todd?
Hey, you're awesome, man. I'm loving everything you're saying. Sway, it sounds like you need to watch Vaxxed.
Oh, yes.
That will open your mind insanely.
Okay.
But my wife and I were basically forced to start vaccinations on our son because, you know, who doesn't want their child to go to school and learn? So our son is 4 now. I think when he was 2.5, we got the MMR. No more than 50 minutes after that vaccination, our son had a seizure in his car seat in the car. Okay. We've gone to a specialist in UC Davis in Sacramento, pediatrics specialist. Bottom line, they're pushing vaccinations on us to give to our children. If you do the research as a parent, you will see that these negative effects, like I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Is it Islam?
Rizza, brother Rizza Islam.
Rizza. It was like one, like you said, 1 in 15,000 30 years ago. Now it's one. I think it's more than 1 in 45. I think it's like 1 in 30.
Yes.
1 in 30 kids have autism because of vaccinations.
Wow.
So it's not.
That's the only thing. That the only increase has been vaccinations.
Yeah.
So vaccines have increased. Okay. Well, autism has increased. You can't say there's any other. What else is there to say? The more vaccines, the more autism.
But here's the thing: Senator Pan out of California, he's making a really big case about this SB 277 and 276. He's saying now that all these doctors are really doing illegal practices and just giving parents permission not to get it vaccinated, and that's why measles is coming back, and that's why it needs to be forced.
Let me say this about Mr. Richard Pan, this demon. Okay, I'm from California. Again, of course he's pleading a big case because he gets a big paycheck.
Right.
Okay. Now this individual is saying that it's illegal for a doctor to practice medicine that they were trained to practice, to uphold the Hippocratic Oath. You're telling me that that's illegal? No, that is legal. What you're doing is illegal. You're violating the U.S. Constitution. You're pushing something that is known to cause autism. You're pushing something that, from the senior lead scientist himself, has said is harmful, specifically to black and brown children and all other children after that. This has been proven. They have not tested it against a placebo. They've only tested it against older vaccinations. They have the Vaccine Events Reported System, which goes over all the effects negatively that it has caused for years and years and years. It has wiped out over 100,000 black boys, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you're telling me that this is something that you want me to force onto my children without having any question, and I can't choose to opt out of it. That is called slavery, and I will not stand for it. So that Mr. Pan, you might want to check to see what his pocketbook looks like and who is sponsoring all of his bank accounts, because that's where his inspiration is coming from. It's no longer coming from integrity.
Yesterday's vote was 6-2, so you all still have a lot of work to do.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Rizza Islam, give out your social. I want people to be able to follow you, because beyond this conversation, they're going to have a lot of questions.
Absolutely. Yes, everything is at Rizza Islam, Rizza, last name Islam, like the religion. RizzaIslam.com. If you would like to book me for speaking engagements or to be in the community to see what it is that you need help with, I'm here to serve, and I'm absolutely honored to do it.
Sean is in Canada. Sean, good morning.
First of all, good morning, Sway. Good morning, team.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I love what you guys do. Sway, I don't know if you really know this gentleman you have, but he is phenomenal. The work he did with even Nipsey, when Nipsey's passing, being on the ground, giving people like us in Canada that can't even see what's happening, what was happening. It's just an honor to even talk to him as well.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you, sir.
We're honored to have him here, Sean.
Got to bring him back again, too.
Absolutely. He has a new home with us.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. In Canada, they're forcing us to give our kids this, even when we say we don't want to, because of the things that you're speaking of. And there's nothing we could do about it. Like, if your kid is in school and you do not give them the vaccine, they tell you that your kid is going to be kicked out of school.
Mm-hmm.
And this is grade 1. My daughter's in grade 1. They just made us give it to her a second time because they said the doctor the first time did it too close together. Is there anything we could do to get out of doing this? I know I'm in Canada. You might not really know Canadian law, but is there anything we could do in Canada or America to stop them from making us take the vaccine, or we just have to take it?
Yes, well, from what I know of Canadian law, you also have exemption forms there. You have the medical, the religious, as well as the philosophical or personal belief exemption. You have to go to the Department of Health as a last resort, but you can go to a doctor or a nurse who is willing to see and assess, your child's position, to see their condition, et cetera, and they should be willing to write an exemption. That is that's legal for them to do so. That's how it was with my parents. If they said, no, I don't want to vaccinate, they said it's against my religious belief or a medical belief, et cetera, they can give you a vaccine exemption form, and it will go into what's called grandfathering into the next point to where they will no longer have to take any vaccinations all the way down. And by the way, if a doctor or a nurse tells you that you need to take this vaccine or get out, that is called paternalism, and that is something that they are taught in medical school never to do, which is basically coercion following that, which is under the United States Code, subsection 5 of Title 18, which is a domestic terrorist. So they're doing something against virtually every law that they've ever been taught to practice and uphold.
Sean, you're a citizen. Once again, give out your social. I want people to have it. I want them to hear it loud and clear. Rizza.
Oh, yes, sir. Rizza Islam, Rizza. Last name Islam, Islam. Everything is under Rizza Islam, including RizzaIslam.com.
I want to invite you back up because I want to hear about your thoughts about food that's being cloned and the impact and effects that have.
You're playing now, brother.
No, we're gonna do a series with you if you don't mind.
Brother, I'm honored.
Okay,
I'm honored.
Okay,
yes, sir.
Great. So we have room for to finish this dialogue and then also to start new ones. Kelly Kincaid, thank you. How can they reach you?
Thank
so
you.
much.
Follow me on all platforms. Kelly Kincaid, KELLYKINKAID. Thank you for all the work that you're doing, and we will keep the citizens abreast of this SB 276.
Yes, okay. Absolutely.
Anything you want to say in closing?
I'm just honored, brother. I'm honored that you and sister have had enough integrity to put this on the platform because, of course, most people would not touch it. So I'm just honored to be your brother, and I'm honored that you allow me to come here and serve and do my capacity on behalf of Minister Tony, the Western Regional Minister under Minister Farrakhan, and, of course, Minister Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam. Absolutely, man. Thank you for this. This information is needed across the board. Yes, to Kelly's point, not even – well, definitely in the black community, but other communities abroad, man. You need to know this information. Absolutely.
So we appreciate you. We appreciate your presence, YN. Appreciate you as well.
We want to thank Jay Andino, too, for introducing us to you as well.
That's the brother. He made it happen.
Okay, Kelly Kincaid, thank you.